Titan Station, or known as the Sprawl, was a civilian space station that was built into the only remaining fragment of the once whole moon of Titan that was one of Saturn's 82 moons. Titan Station itself was built around the Shard of Titan, in a semicircle around the Shard that was also mainly known as the public sector to those who either took up residence there or to those who visited due to planet cracking or other luxurious businesses. The public sector was a large metropolis that was attached to the government sector and the Titan mines via the crossover tubes, which would allow workers and other personnel access to the designated areas of work. The government sector's isolation was to keep certain researches and other avenues secretive among the populace. However, the population would soon come to know of what secrets their government was keeping from them in 2511, when the entire station was to be destroyed in an outbreak of colossal proportions. This is a story of how corruption and experimentation led into the demise of trust between the Earth government, unitology, and humanity in general, along with the deaths of 1 million personnel. Welcome to the complete history and in-depth timeline of the Titan Station. In an unknown time, after the events of the fall of the sovereign colonies, only known as the Resource Wars, several factions of humanity within colonies that were widespread across the galaxy were all fighting in the race for the dwindling supplies. Resources were limited and very valuable in these times, more rare than ever. The Earth Defense Force, the CEC, and others would band together against these insurgents, leading into a battle on Scorpio 6 between them and two other factions, all fighting for the resources to fuel their enterprises. Two individuals that were present in the firefight would eventually survive the skirmishes, who would be known as Gabriella and Nathan McNeil. The battle would stretch far and wide across the planet and colony. However, after the dust had settled and the defensive forces were victorious, with the CEC backing them, the pair would become friends after Nathan had saved Gabe, pulling him out after being injured in the battles. After Scorpio 6 had been scarred by the conflicts, the CEC began to work on a new type of mining equipment that would end the bloodshed and bring about a new era of lucrative mining operations, bringing in rich businesses to unite humanity rather than having them tearing each other apart. In the following years, the CEC would continue their mining operations with the use of the newly built orbital platforms that would be soon used to crack a moon that revolved around Saturn, being one of 82 moons. Titan would be the very first planet crack, in which, after dismantling it, the platforms would inspire the construction of the planet crackers, with the CEC beginning to draw up the plans of the very first one, being known to be their flagship, the USG Ishimura. However, the government would also draw up the plans for a station that would be connected to the last remaining shard of Titan, in which they would call it Titan Station. However, the public would soon give it a different name, the Sprawl. The station would be designed to surround the shard. However, the government would also draw up the plans to build a structure within the shard for independent researchers into whatever they were to deem necessary to further benefit humankind. The public sector was designed to house over 1 million people, especially once they had also planned to build an adjacent set of cities that would be built parallel to the others. This would be later called the inverted city, with it being connected to the upright city through the use of gravity elevators that would rotate to compensate to the gravity of the other side. The construction period would have its fair share of hardships and difficulties. Accidents would occur. However, over the years, the station would be successfully built, where major and minor enterprises would begin to take root inside of the public sector, which made the public feel as if they were living in a community of opportunity, with store, planet cracking, and religious businesses taking place. The Church of Unitology would even have its own living complexes, with the public staying in places like the Titan Heights, an apartment complex where workers would stay with their families and raise their kids while completing their work and assignments. The station would act as an expansion of the several colony territories, allowing the next generation to be brought up, as many schools were present in the Sprawl, all with teachers and supervisors skilled in speaking multiple languages, so that a language barrier would not be an issue. The station would turn out to be a major success, with families and others all living and working together to create a community that looked out for each other. However, crimes would still occur, which would lead into the Titan security forces being implemented into the cities, allowing others to have the security that crimes would be punished and the crime rate would be lowered considerably. With the newly built planet crackers and the next millennia peeking around the corner, the humans would feel that their problems were a thing of the past, which is what the government had intended on them thinking and believing. However, the truth was even more dire than they could have expected. With the success of planet cracking, EarthGov knew that the good years weren't to last long, as they needed to solve the constant resource struggle, as they can't just keep on breaking down planets. They would need to find a way to harness a more sustainable resource, something that would provide renewable energy. So they would start to bring up research on the black marker, as per the request of the Overseer, who was indeed in league with the Church of Unitology, who would also be high up within the Earth government, who would be in charge of the station. However, 8 years into pulling up the scattered and blacklisted research into the black and free red markers, their researchers would always come up to a dead end of 2299, with only seeing these areas were under heavy restriction until they heard of the CEC's blunder when the Ishimura would be noted that they had begun a planet crack in the Aegis cluster. However, the CEC had lost all contact with their flagship. The Overseer would start to pull the strings in when he found out about the emergency response, pushing his associates into infiltrating the operation, which would lead Kendra into joining the response, who would lead the USM Valor to the stricken Ishimura. After the events of Dead Space, the government and CEC had lost all contact with the response team, so they would prepare another team to go into the Aegis cluster in search for the colony. However, what they found was the shocking remains of the planet Aegis 7 that had been transformed into a volcano planet that seemed stable for an unknown reason. However, several tremors would say otherwise, but the planetary scans would show up several spikes of electromagnetic energy that resonated with the marker's known signal. The team would report these findings back, and the government would commission Captain Campbell to find the shards with his teams on board the O'Bannon. The USM Victory at this time would be on the outskirts of the Aegis system, creating a blockade. The reason as to why the CEC and EarthGov believed that the USG Ishimura had not been destroyed with the colony was because there was no wreckage to suggest that it had been, but also because they were clinging to the belief that the red marker, or Marker 3A, was to be on board, so they must recover it by any means necessary. However, once again, all contact with the first responder class ship would be lost, so the Overseer would send in the USM Abraxas to find the ship, but they would find something unexpected. Isaac Clarke, who had sent out a distress call to a pleasure cruiser, who then reported the last known coordinates to the government, who then redirected the Abraxas. The frigate-class ship would then apprehend Isaac and transport him to the Sprawl to be diagnosed by Dr. Foster, who was to work with the Overseer very closely, who would go over the recent events with Isaac.
Isaac! You were drifting away for a moment there, Mr. Clarke. I believe you were telling me about your nightmares that you've been having. About your dead girlfriend. What was her name?
Nicole. I didn't want it to end like this. I really wanted to see you again. Just once. I loved you. I always loved you.
Yes. Nicole Brennan. She was a senior medical officer stationed aboard a Planet Cracker-class vessel.
Ishimura.
USG Ishimura, yes. Part of a mining operation on Aegis 7. I understand communications went down shortly after their arrival. You were part of the repair mission. A mission for which you volunteered, am I right? What did you find aboard that ship, Isaac?
They found something.
What did they find aboard the ship, Isaac?
The marker.
Did you have contact with this marker? It made you see things, didn't it? Things you didn't want to see.
It spoke to me.
What did it say, Isaac? What did it say to you, Isaac? Isaac, can you hear me?
The Earth Defense Forces at this time would have a very dangerous fight on their hands, with the necromorph presence within the Ishimura, with many falling to the nightmarish abominations. However, after exhausting most of their resources, they were successful in defeating the necromorphs, either by finding the shards and transporting them away from the corrupted necromorphs, or by destroying the shards that continued to reanimate them over and over again. The Abraxas at this time would then shock point out to the O'Bannon and apprehend all of the survivors, who would then be interrogated and transported to the Sprawl, where the Overseer would be waiting. The Overseer would try to turn Cho to his side. However, when she refused, he would give the green light to lobotomize her surgically against her will. With her sense of free will and personality dulled, the Overseer's team then molded a false truth around her, holding Cho responsible for the horrors in Aegis 7. The public from around this time would do as our society does, takes it in but doesn't question it, as terrorism in both the Dead Space world and ours is a real threat to the society of humanity. However, for 2, the story would not go down so well for them, who would be the 2 survivors of the Aegis 7 colony who had escaped the system, Gabriella and Lexine Murdoch, who was now in a relationship with Gabe. The pair would agree to let it go, as the government would soon turn from a safety net into a present danger if they went public with their past ordeals. However, they could never had expected the events that would come into play for a second time in the following years, with the necromorph threat looming towards them from within the shadows. In the events following the extraction of Isaac and Stross from the Aegis system, the pair would be experimented on by the government, where they would be both taken to the machine where it would unlock the parts of their minds where the marker codes are being stored, in an effort to replicate the accursed red monolith, in which the Overseer would claim that Isaac was necessary, that his mind was to be the purest. Showing his ties to unitology, he would then charge Tiedemann with overseeing the replication and construction of the new marker that would be dubbed as the Gold Marker Research. The aftermath of the news report would then continue to depress all of the planet-cracking efforts, as more of the CEC's supportive roles would fall short and then fall out of business, which had left them without a leg to stand on. Unemployment within the station would then grow to 9% due to the events within the Aegis cluster, along with the deteriorating planet-cracking businesses. However, the Church of Unitology would also be affected by the layoffs, affecting their recruiting targets, which would plummet the target down to being only 30% reachable for the foreseeable years to follow. Over the next 3 years, Isaac and Stross's minds would be altered by the use of memory-erasing drugs in an effort to keep the marker codes from decaying their minds with growing dementia. As the side effect of being a carrier for the symbols, they will infect the mind of the affected, decaying it over time, which will affect their mental well-being, further deranging the individual. In the Titan Memorial Center, Patient 6 would bite Orderly Gaustus. The staff would break the patient's jaw in an effort to get them to release the man, who would be informed every morning of why he had to wake up with a broken jaw. The government at this time would be bringing in the Ishimura to the Sprawl so that it may be assessed, cleaned out, and then repaired, ready for service to reignite the flame of the crippled CEC. However, work on the new marker testing facility was also underway at this time, with the scientists beginning to sift through the data brought in from the mental blueprint, giving them the specifications needed to start printing out the marker inside of the mineral baths, which would then be placed accordingly together and then activated in the following year. The scientists shortly down the line would produce a new blueprint that would give them the instructions on how to construct a new marker, one that would come with a goal to be made whole. The scientists would then be assured that they have everything they need to proceed on further without the need for the patients, sending them to the Titan Medical Center to be treated by Dr. Foster. The scientists would then seek to begin coding the specifications into the mineral baths, as they planned for a late party in the evening. For Isaac and Stross though, they would meet their accommodations with the newly built cycling, with new labs being present nearby to them. Despite the loss of the red marker, the scientists would be eager to begin their experiments, and with the recovery of the Ishimura, things began to look up for everyone, including the CEC, with the arrival of the Ishimura, which would be taken to the far side of the station, adjacent to the CEC facility, where under governmental supervision, they would begin the grueling task of covering up the scars of the infestation that had happened in both of the prior events to this era. The task of cleaning up the now stationed Ishimura would be issued by the Overseer to further cover up what had happened to the crew of the late planet Cracker to reinforce the cover story. In 2510, the teams would be ready to go forth into the famous planet Cracker to begin cleaning it all out. However, at this time, the marker had just been built, and the teams were confident that the chamber would be able to contain the marker's array of influence. However, at this time, the marker's influence would begin leaking out of the containment chambers and through to the public sector, in which the Titan Memorial Medical Center would begin to report rises in insomnia, which would lead to stress, then into depression, which would break out cases of extreme paranoia and aggression in a pandemic state situation. However, the Overseer would class these occurrences as something to do with the public, not the marker, making the same mistake as all the prior authorities who had dealings with the various markers over the generations. However, upon hearing of the issues, the scientists all begin to speculate on why the signal coming from the marker was able to make it through the dampening system.
The dampening system built into the shielding around the marker testbed should be blocking the signal entirely, but I swear the dementia signal is still getting through. Not a single thing registers on any sensor outside the shield walls. Put the same sensor inside with the marker and it goes off the charts. So we either missed something entirely or I don't know what. If we have, oh man, please heaven help us.
A few months into the purge operation on board the dormant Ishimura, the teams would all begin to report some strange occurrences going on. Hedrick, who was working in the planet Cracker, would attempt to call Golan. However, he would leave a message asking if he had returned to his shifts, asking if anyone has returned, as he began to feel as if he is not alone within the darkened halls of the flight lounge, where he would report gaining injuries with an accident.
Go on. It's Hedrick. Did you come in last shift? Did anyone? I think it's just me down here now. I got lost last night when the lights went out and I fell down the ramp. I think. Or someone tripped me. I'm all bruised on my left side and my ankle is swollen. Are you sure you guys aren't down here? I hear something near my locker. Screw this! I'm heading up. I'm never coming back here again.
A scientist who was working within engineering at this time would take specimens of the sludge-like material that could be still found within the walls and that was plastered all over the interior of the corridors throughout the ship, in which Dr. Heidi Latchford would analyze the findings to find that the liquid corruption contained human DNA. However, she would also then take her specimen to the marker chamber to be further researched in the labs, which would lead her into a far more disturbing discovery.
Dr. Heidi Latchford, Research Summary Organic Material Analysis. There are several shocking findings relating to the sludge-like material found throughout the Ishimura. First, it is human DNA. Second, and far more disturbing, it reanimates in the presence of a marker signal. The only conclusion we can come to is that the entire Ishimura crew was infected and reconstructed and then fell into a soupy DNA sludge when the Aegis 7 marker was destroyed.
Allison Landers would then find a shocking discovery as well, with evidence to suggest that the government were holding out on the public when it came to what really transpired on the colony and what had been happening within the Aegis cluster. However, it was not meant to be. When Brandon Lurek would catch wind of the betrayal and stop her before they eventually went public, the archived footage and rig logs would then be deleted.
Allison Landers, this is Brandon Lurek. Thank you for identifying Ishimura archive footage and rig logs that could potentially contradict the official storyline of its demise at Aegis 7. It is critical that no word of the artifact's recovery ever be surfaced to the public. It is disturbing that such records still exist this many years after the incident. We have locked out your research team's access, and will be replacing them with EarthGov specialists effective immediately. Please contact me once the replacements arrive.
The following morning, Kiner Phillips would awaken to find a tiny marker inside of the crystal mineral baths, implying that he created it when he blacked out from an unknown event. He would remark on hearing the code inside his mind like a song, but also remarks that the dementia suppressors are still working.
Kiner Phelps, research log 43549. I blacked out early last night and woke up this morning staring at a tiny, fully formed version of the marker in one of the crystal layer printing baths. I had entered the entire heuristic sequencing algorithm. I can still hear it in my mind, like a song now. I know that dementia suppressors are working, but this is something entirely different.
Inside of the Ishimura, Hendricks would again contact his fellow crew member, telling him that the ship is in fact cursed, along with another stating that the toilet rolls had been going missing, but upon further inspection, it was known that someone had been flushing them down the toilets in an effort to clog the systems for an unknown purpose.
Go on. This is Hedrick. You really don't hear anything when you're cleaning these bathrooms? Every shift, I swear, I hear something in the walls like a scratching noise. When I stop moving, it stops. When I move again, it waits a bit, then comes back. Today, it followed me around right under my feet like it was stalking me. I can't take this, man. The ship is cursed. It is a bad omen that it's here. I'm putting in for a transfer. You should too.
Bonnie Worthington, a scientist who had been studying the marker signal for quite some time now, had begun to meet a breakthrough when she would start to record a log talking about the signal that creates dementia and another one that installs blueprints, along with another one that drives people insane, is in fact the same signal. It's the people that are different, theorizing that smarter people get the blueprints, which in turn begins to decay the mind, and the others all hearing nothing but noise, which further unhinges their minds, further deranging them.
Bonnie Worthington, research log 16671. It's the same signal. Dementia and codes and blueprints are all caused by the same signal from the marker. It's the people that are different. Smart people see codes and blueprints, but to everyone else it's just noise. Noise that drives you mad.
Dr. Heidi Latchford would then attempt to show her superiors about the liquefied corruption along with her work, who would then tell her to dispose of the animated specimen, in which she would have no choice but to comply, fearing prosecution, and would later be ordered to assist the other scientists. However, after sending it to be disposed, it would somehow find its way into the nearby Titan mines while being under the influence of the gold marker, and the unitologist mole in the sector would inform the church of the development, along with funneling the government's research to his superiors, effectively leaking the information which would further lead into the church's twisted vision of rebirth, unity, and convergence. Leading into 2511, the corruption had begun to self-replicate at an alarming rate, unknown to the scientists or their superiors. However, this was known to the members of unitology, in which they would send in their believers deep into the caves and mines of the Shard, with them being tasked to commit the ultimate sacrifice, ending their lives. However, in doing so, the corruption would be able to use their bodies to grow, and what it would leave, the marker would begin to reanimate and corrupt the forms into twisted and disturbing levels of afterlife, in which the outbreak was slowly beginning to form out of the darkness of the mines, in which necromorphs would act as silent assassins, killing those who strayed too far and alone. As to not raise the alarm too soon, they needed to increase their numbers before they could stand as a credible threat to hundreds of soldiers and security forces. Dana and Tyler, who were both in league with unitology, would work together to undermine the government, and needed a way to unleash the necromorphs upon the government sector. This is where they would find someone who was willing to do anything to show her support for unitology, and would send the engineer to the communications center to sabotage it. This is where the opening to Dead Space Mobile comes into play, with Vandal, aka Carrie Norton, being tasked with destroying the fuse boxes that help to power the center.
Audio log rig number 438642. I've been selected for a secret mission down in the core systems on the Shard. I hope I can do them proud. Albin be praised.
Okay, you're in position. Remember, your code name is Vandal. Under no circumstances tell anyone your real name, understand? Your voice filter will keep you anonymous if you meet anyone. Let's get started. What we're doing here is vital to the cause. I'll be with you every step of the way. Start by using your plasma saw there to take out the power boxes in this room. There should be 3 of them.
However, what Vandal did not know was she wasn't to sabotage communications, but was instead allowing the necromorphs entry to the government sector. And as soon as the last fuse was slashed, the necromorphs hiding in the dark would be introduced to a new world of bright light, and like a moth to the flame, the necromorphs began to swarm into the communications center of the government sector, where the necromorphs would scramble through the ventilation system, pouring out, attacking and killing the workers, recruiting more for the necromorph hordes.
Hey! What gives?
Gotta break
Finished.
down.
Everything's going real quiet.
That means you succeeded. Excellent job, Vandal. What you've done here today will stand in church history forever. You're a hero. Now get out of there and head to the church.
Foreign marker detected.
Vandal, get out of there quick. Make for the tram.
They're coming out of the walls! They're coming out of the walls! Shit! Run for it!
I represent the church. sent you. The authorities are locking down Sprawl, cutting off the lines, locking you in, but don't be afraid. Your death will be glorious. A holy path to life beyond the death the church promised you. Ultimate be praised.
You knew this would happen. You lying sons of bitches. People are dying because of what we did, what I did. Fuck. See how blessed you feel when the government hears about what you've done.
Tiedemann would be informed of the sabotage to the center and would link up with Vandal after Dana's betrayal, who then confirms what he says to be true, that she was working with the church, but not anymore, and would be willing to do whatever to remain on the right side of the law, in which Tiedemann tells Vandal that she needs to prove her remorse for her actions.
So screw them, alright? I'll even testify if you want me to.
I don't think my colleagues will accept that. You've caused a lot of trouble, but there's a way to make up for some of the damage you've done. The emergency quarantine seal on crossover tube A has malfunctioned, and as an engineer, you have the tools to repair it.
Isn't there someone on the other side that can do it? I'm fighting for my life down here.
You're much closer than anyone from the public sector. If you're truly remorseful, this is your chance to show it. Repair that seal and it'll keep those monsters from reaching the population. It may even gain you some leniency, assuming you survive. Now hurry.
Dana at this time would tell the other unitologists to begin sabotaging the facilities surrounding the crossover tubes. Most notable of these would be the CEC facility, who would contact maintenance about the issues, which would lead them to Weaver. After completing this task, Vandal would get another mission to aid in the defense of the station, to go through the mines and activate a lockdown on all crossover tubes so that the public sector will be safe, at least from the necromorph threat spreading.
Attention. Emergency quarantine lockdown is now commencing. All crossover tubes between government and public sectors will be closed immediately.
Open the lockdown! There are people still in here! Bastards have a shut-off! There's gotta be a way out! Keep checking!
Vandal, are you there? Vandal, come in!
Tyler, you son of a bitch, you left me for dead.
No, I swear. I didn't know what they were doing. I only just found out myself. I've been trying to reach you. They've locked the whole place down.
Not quite. The quarantine seal on crossover tube A is broken. We can get out and fix it behind us.
You can, maybe. I'm nowhere near your location. I'm sorry, but I can still help you. Make for the tube, and I'll be with you every step of the way, I promise. Maybe we can both get out of this.
Those bastards really screwed us, didn't they? Alright, I'm heading that way now. At least maybe we can stop this thing from spreading.
As Vandal manages to get into the Titan mines, where she can see how bad the situation truly is, with the necromorphs spreading through them, with workers attempting to flee, only to be further cut down by the necromorphs. Walking through the mines and the water treatment facility, Vandal would begin to experience hallucinations deriving from the marker signal festering within her mind. Most notable of this time would be hallucinating that she had transformed into a slasher form. At this time, Franco's journey would begin with Anderson as they are told about a malfunctioning door over at the CEC facility. While they travel, Franco and Sarah would talk about the past, with her asking him to leave it be, that she just needs some time alone for now. When they eventually get over to the facility, they come across the problem, and with Franco's technical skills, he is able to fix the issue.
Great, thanks.
No problem. If it happens again, just give us a call.
Hey, before you head back, can you stop by logistics? Friend of mine over there was saying they got computer problems.
Did he call it in?
Beats me. But you're already here, right?
Weaver, this is Delisle. Fix that door, but the super's asking about an issue in logistics.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask you to head over that way while you're there. They've got a supply logging terminal that keeps sending bad data.
So this is how he knew we'd be out all day. Nice of him to give us some notice.
Oh, it's Weaver. What can you do?
At this point in time, Vandal would begin to ask Tyler questions about himself, with him stating that he had grown up on Mars and answering any other questions put to him in an effort to build up trust with Vandal, which would be further successful as she pushes herself further along to get to where she needs to be so that she can lock down the entire sector, blocking access to and from the public sector.
Hey Tyler, you never told me where you're from.
I shouldn't really say. But I guess secrecy's hardly important now. I was born on Mars. Couldn't wait to get off-world. How about you?
I was born in space. Colony ship to Borealis. I've never been to Earth or Mars. What's it like?
Mars? It's a shithole. You're not missing anything.
Meanwhile, Franco and Sarah would be finishing up their job at the logistics center, where Sarah would remind Franco of confronting his fears by going on a spacewalk to fix one of the sky panels. As this was going on, in the solar array, something strange would be happening to Howard Phillips, as he had been up there all alone for quite a considerable amount of time, especially seeming as there is an accommodation fitted into the array. In his lonely time up above, he would start to succumb to the marker's influence, falling into depression and extreme paranoia. He would then begin to self-harm and plaster his blood all over the surrounding area, thinking that the people back down in the Sprawl would see it, and then he would be finally allowed to be transferred out of the ring. However, due to the blood loss, he would start to feel weak, delusional. He would go to lay down on his bed, believing that they will come for him. However, as he slowly fell into a state of unconsciousness, he could never had imagined what was about to transpire within the government sector. As Vandal would trust Tyler, who would block all communication with Tiedemann and change her mission directive to further sabotage Vandal's mission, telling her the way to save everyone was to cut power to the seals, which would activate a protocol to seal the crossover tubes. However, what it in fact did was the complete opposite.
Oh my god.
You've truly lived up to your name.
The power's down. All the doors are jammed open. What have you done?
I didn't do anything, but you've done what's right. How do you think I felt, helping you kill all those ascended souls? But I made that sacrifice, and now you've redeemed yourself too.
You son of a bitch, Tyler.
Nothing will stop the spread of enlightenment.
I'll kill you.
And here come the enlightened now. Don't be afraid. Your sacrifice will be remembered forever as mankind moves to its new existence.
I don't think so. The public sector's still on lockdown, and without power, nothing's gonna open that door.
Oh, don't worry about that. We just had to get them into the tube. I've gotta go. Remember, this is the life beyond death we are all promised.
Fuck you, Tyler. I'm not just gonna sit here and die. There's got to be a way.
Seeing his efforts to save the public sector from these abominations have failed, Tiedemann would attempt to warn sector security and all officials about the new threat rushing towards them, in which they would ask where the outbreak originated from. Tiedemann would give them a guess about it, pointing deep into the mines. After hearing this, the Titan security force would assemble 2 teams to travel into the mines in hopes of finding the source As Franco and Sarah was heading back inside of the CEC facility and the room pressurized, Franco would get an ominous message coming from his pager, telling him it's time to rise. Upon getting the message, Franco would tell Sarah that it was a wrong number. However, when he would access a conduit room, he would call the church to inform them that he is on his way. Weaver would also warn the two of an outbreak of unknown proportions.
I need you to stay in the field.
Another job?
There will be. Something weird happened while you were out on the sky panel. Some kind of outbreak. A lot of folks are freaking out.
Hold on, I got a message.
What kind of outbreak? Are we talking disease or what?
Details unknown, Anderson. Hopefully we'll get some good intel soon. Till then, head for the nearest tram hub and wait to see where we need you.
Copy that, boss. What was that?
Wrong number. Weaver said we're having comm trouble. Must have got lines crossed somewhere.
Vandal at this time would be given one last chance to prove which side she was on when Tideman would tell her to get into the core of the government sector, which had begun to overheat due to an unknown occurrence.
This is Director Tideman. What the hell did you do? We've lost all power to the quarantine seals. You were supposed to fix them, but you've made it worse.
I know. God, I'm sorry. They tricked me. I was trying to set off the emergency protocol. I didn't know, I swear.
You fool! I'm working on a solution. I believe I have a way to defeat the monsters, but I need more time, and now there's another problem. The shard's reactor core has become unstable. It's overheating, no doubt due to your sabotage machinery, and if it isn't fixed soon, it will go critical.
But those systems shouldn't affect the reactor core.
Well, they have. If the core breaches, the entire Sprawl will be destroyed. You must get to the core and repair it, and perhaps this time you can successfully redeem yourself.
I can't go back inside. There's just too many monsters in there.
You don't have to. The quickest route to the reactor core is to cross the shard itself around the exterior.
The necromorphs at this time would begin to pour out of the crossover tubes, spreading through the CEC facility, with others rushing past it and into the apartment complexes and other facilities that were nearby, including the transport hub. Ellie Langford at this time would be completing her current assigned tasks when the necromorphs would appear from nowhere, slaughtering her, crew and friends. Ellie would be quick to run, finding a means to defend herself in the outbreak by using a plasma cutter to escape. She would lead a group of her colleagues to a transport in hopes of finding salvation from these terrifying creatures.
All teams, this is Caleb, xenogeologist from Langford Shift 1. There's something in the facility. We've lost 3 of our crew and can't contact Shift 4.
Here comes the transport. Everybody get ready in case there's more.
We're abandoning our shift and heading back up. Everyone else is ordered to do the same.
Caleb, it's more of them. Shoot them! Shoot them!
Franco and Sarah at this time would be heading to their next job, moving to the tram station, where Franco would go to get something to eat, when the chaos would spread to the public sector, where the two would escape, but just barely.
What the hell?
Holy shit, what is that?
CPD, get out of the way, move!
You missed.
I didn't miss. That thing shook off 3 bullets.
Get out of the way! Look out!
Watch it, I'm armed!
Oh crap. Sarah, do something.
I lost my gun!
Well, try something else.
Wait, this might...
It worked. Man, what the hell is that thing?
Related to these guys, maybe? Run!
Everybody on the tram, now! What the hell happened while we were outside?
I have no idea, but I do know this. I'm hanging on to this plasma cutter.
Meanwhile, the two teams would be on their way to the Titan mines. However, what they did not know was a certain sergeant had been down this route before, with Gabe Weller accompanying them. Tideman would then begin to issue out a martial law upon the populace, ordering everyone to evacuate, to get off the station, telling them that looters will be shot on sight to further motivate the public into the evacuation areas. Tideman would tell his forces to evacuate the government sector at this time too. One of the personnel would tell Tideman that evacuation in the event of a breach was to be an illegal act, that the project protocol specifically forbids evacuation. The person would then leave to contact the overseer about this matter.
Tideman, this evacuation is illegal. You know that. Don't you dare tell me what I can and cannot do on my own station. My grandfather was running this place long before you were crapping your diapers, young man. I don't need a lecture from you, and you know I'm right. Project Protocol specifically forbids evacuation in the event of a breach. I have spent my whole life in service of this community, and I will not stand here and watch them die for some Project Protocols. Now get to your shuttle. We can argue about this nonsense in court, assuming we both live to discuss your precious protocols. Very well, sir.
Back inside of the facility, it would be complete chaos, with Ellie continuing to lead her group away and would attempt to escape, with more and more of her group being cut down.
Sorensen, do you read? It's Caleb, Shift 1. You guys better be right behind us. We're leaving a swarm of angry dead body parts behind us.
Come on! More moving in ahead of us! I can see them!
Everyone move it! Go, go, go!
As the outbreak continued to spread through the Sprawl, families would be under assault, separated, cut down by the nightmarish creatures who would slaughter everything and everyone they would spot. Titan security would attempt to quell the invasion long enough to allow others to escape. Upon hearing of the evacuation orders, the overseer would contact Tideman, telling him that he is disappointed in the decision to evacuate the station and that consequences for this will be dire for him. Franco and Sarah at this time would be traveling through a maintenance vent in order to get to their next task, in an effort to fix the lighting in one of the sectors, when the pair would wind up in the Church of Unitology, where Sarah would be ushered to explore the crypts by Franco. As he fixes the security shields, he would also contact Dana at this time, telling her that he is en route to the hospital, but he needs to find a way to get away from Sarah, one way or another.
Oh man. This is just so wrong. Screw this.
There you go. All online and operational. Anything else you need doing?
Actually, there is something.
Hey. Pretty incredible, huh?
That's one way to describe it. What's going on back there? Some kind of funeral?
Exactly. Yes.
They've got kids with them. You should get those shields down while you still can.
But wait till we're gone, okay?
As the pandemic continues to spread through the area, Tideman would order the termination of all key subjects as soon as he is made aware of their importance to the markers and what it needs to become whole. The two teams that worked their ways into the Titan mines would split up in an effort to cover more ground. However, they would soon see that was to be a terrible decision to make when the necromorphs would strike out of the shadows, showing Gabe that the necromorphs had returned for round 2.
No, Mr. Weller, she is not available. I cannot simply get her out of a fertility examination.
Computer locate rig 784283. Interrupt and override. Authorization Gabe Weller. Tango Beta 3.
Sir, you cannot do that. You can't just interrupt. It worked? I'm going to... Gabe, what are you doing
Honey,
here?
listen to me very carefully. I need you to leave there immediately and head straight for our shuttle.
What? Why?
Just what the hell is going on here? You can't just interrupt a session.
Back. There, back. Don't tell anyone, just get moving.
Gabe, you're scaring
Don't
me.
argue, just get to our shuttle now.
This isn't happening. This can't be happening.
Oh, God.
Inside of the CEC facility, Ellie would continue to lead what was left of her group to safety, but the necromorphs would continue to pursue no matter the obstacle, never tiring and always quick to bring them down, when Caleb would receive a transmission from Soroson.
This is Swerve in Shift 2. Caleb, what's going on? Dead bodies are chasing us. Dead bodies I recognize. It's fucking Shift 4. Just get out of there, Sorensen. Get out of there. But we're trapped. They're closing in all around. Wait, which way did you go? Which way is clear? Use the starboard catwalks. We cleared a path, but hurry. They're closing in behind. Wait for it.
Upon hearing of the order to eliminate all of the key subjects, the officials at the church would send out the Oracle group into the Outbreak to collect the key subjects from the areas that they were listed in. Most notable of these would be Lexine Weller, Isaac Clarke, and Nolan Stross from the Titan Memorial Medical Center. However, all but 2 of the oracles would be taken down by the rampant necromorphs spreading through the sector, which had hindered their progress and had cost them time in recovery. At this time, Kiner Phillips had come across a startling discovery that the markers cannot be controlled, that they had their own mission, their own purpose for being here. However, his supervisor would be talking about him to a security officer who would soon deal with Kiner.
Kiner Phelps, research log 43553. I'm convinced we are puppets of some alien influence. I no longer believe we're in control of this project, or ever were. I believe even our rationalizations for this whole thing are an illusion, planted by the forces behind the original marker. The black one. We don't know how to make this thing. It is making us make it. And it's trying to get out. Desperately. I'm under security watch after taking a sledgehammer to the tiny marker I built last week. We need to destroy everything we built here. And destroy every record, every shred of research. They were right the first time on Aegis 7. This is beyond our ability to know or control. I have to go. My supervisor is whispering to the security guard.
As Vandal was traveling deeper and deeper into the government sector, she would be under assault inside her own mind, with hallucinations plaguing her, along with the necromorphs continuing to spread through the area, with large amounts of corruption growing all over the walls and surrounding areas. High Command at this time would be issuing out orders to Weaver to lock down certain areas of the station in an effort to contain the spread. However, what they did not know was that the necromorphs could travel through the ventilation system, allowing them access to the non-affected areas. Gabe at this time had successfully made his way out of the Titan mines and to one of the docking areas where not just one gunship would be waiting for him, but another, with the betrayal of Victor Bartlett, would begin to hail down on him.
Gabe. Lexine is a key subject. She has to be terminated.
Stop it. You stay the fuck away from my wife.
Look, I don't want this any more than you do. But the difference between you and me is when an order comes down, I follow it.
The difference between you and me, Vic, is that I ain't got a life, and I will not let you take that away from me. See you at the hospital, Vic.
Sorensen inside of the CEC facility would issue out another transmission calling out to anyone that is still trapped inside of the facility to follow Ellie's rig signal.
This is Sorensen, any remaining CEC personnel. Track towards Ellie Langford's rig. Her group is furthest ahead and has cleared a path, but it's closing off fast. You gotta go, boss. More's coming. Don't think, just move.
Vandal at this time had managed to get close to the core when she would come face to face with a massive collection of biomass all stuck together to create a proto-hive mind where it had wrapped itself around the core and would need to be removed in order to reduce the temperature. Otherwise, this story would end for everyone in an instance.
Oh Christ, I knew it wasn't the sabotage that did this. That thing's suffocating the entire core.
Franco and Sarah at this time would be heading to Sector 18 inside of a maintenance vent, where Weaver would inform the pair to head to Sector 19 to repair the comms when Franco would disobey the order as he had more important things to do or a more important objective to complete for his employers.
Into you. Since we left that school, you've been acting real weird.
Sarah, don't...
No. Sulking around, disobeying orders? And just what are those messages you keep getting? Don't lie to me, Franco. I've known you too long. Fine. Whatever. Well, I'm going to go help. You can come or not. Just show me the way.
Okay, you're right. Let me check. We can get there from the next hatch, then walk.
Then let's do it.
There's the hatch. After you.
All right, now which way to the next turn? Franco.
I'm so sorry, Sarah, but I can't waste any more time. It's too important.
At this time, Vandal was still under assault from the necromorph, trying to maintain her cool while taking on the behemoth. Gabe would be traveling away from that location inside of a gunship towards the Titan Memorial Medical Center, and Franco would be coming up to a backdoor entrance that would take him through a maintenance bay and through to the psych wards, where he would record 2 more audio logs informing Dana of his progress, one nearby to the tram waiting area and another inside of the hospital. Vandal, however, would soon be victorious, but the monstrous necromorph form would attempt to take her down with it. However, it would fail, with Vandal's identity being revealed as Carrie Norton, who would attempt to contact Tideman, who wouldn't respond to her calls. She would soon succumb to her wounds, and all that would be left would be a blood trail leading away from the core. Carrie's whereabouts is still currently unknown to this day. Tyler would contact one of his unitologist superiors and tell them that the outbreak has been successful, where he would inform that he now is returning home. Tyler's current whereabouts is currently unknown. It is possible that he could have escaped prior to the end game. With her attempts failing to save the others, Caleb would sacrifice himself in order to save his companion, Ellie, with the use of a line gun, Ellie would then have no choice but to leave his remains at the mercy of the abominations stalking her as she fled the facility in hopes of finding safety. Unfortunately, all she would find is the same carnage she had been subjected to previously. However, she had come this far, and she would not give up out of respect of the memory of her friend's sacrifice.
I'll leave this for who's left. Our crew is chasing us. Our dead crew is chasing us. It's just me and Ellie right now. We're not gonna make it.
No! Get up, Caleb. It's just a few more meters.
I hear them coming. Don't kill us both, Ellie. Just run. I'll save you. Just go.
No, Caleb! Caleb!
This is Caleb from Shift 1. We lost.
Meanwhile, Franco's mission was nearing its completion when he would find Isaac's cell and begin to hack his way inside.
There you are at last. Feels like my whole life has been leading here, you know? The things I've had to sacrifice, the people I've had to leave behind, all for this moment. So let's get you out of there. And that's it.
You're a free man. Isaac, can you hear me? Dana, I found Isaac Clarke. Repeat, I have him.
Great work, Franco. Be careful. He's been out a long time.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good. Steady. We gotta get you out of this straitjacket. Where am I? Alright, I know you're confused right now. I can explain everything, but you gotta trust me, okay? Listen, you're in terrible danger.
Isaac, upon reawakening from his stasis-induced slumber, would escape from the psych wards and would find out the hard way that the government wants him dead. However, Dr. Foster would soon catch him, but releases him from his restraints, who then proceeds to slice out his own throat. After this encounter, Isaac would be contacted by Dana, who directs Isaac on a path that will lead him to her. However, after meeting another key subject known as Nolan Stross, he would get trapped in a lockdown, which forces him to seek an alternative path out of the hospital, which would eventually lead him to a rather large necromorph form known as the Tripod Leaper form, which forces him to put the creature down. After the ensuing battle, Isaac would claim that he cannot remember the last 3 years after his capture. This is where Dana would inform him about the memory-erasing drugs that Tiedemann had placed him on in an effort to dull the effectiveness of the dementia riddling through his mind. Isaac would then come face to face with the full-scale outbreak, which allows him to see the desperation and devastation of the public as they attempt to flee to other parts of the area to escape the necromorph invasion, along with ships lifting off erratically to the point where they collide with each other in the cold vacuum of space. He would then take a tram to the Cassini Towers. However, something would eventually go wrong with the emergency brakes being issued out, and the tram would fall off the ceiling rail and through to a storage room. Isaac, upon escaping this situation, would again come under assault from necromorphs in the several forms of the pack. Isaac would then be contacted by Stross again, only for him to be spotted by EarthGov gunships, where he would flee, terminating the video call. Dana would claim that Stross is unstable and that he should stay clear of him, that Stross had murdered his family. With this knowledge in hand, Isaac would make his way through the waste disposal system, through the Cassini Towers, which has since become deserted, and into the Church of Unitology, where gunships had finally caught up with him.
It's Tiedemann! He's found you! Into the church, hurry!
Isaac would ask Dana why the church, with her explaining the separation of church and state, that Tiedemann cannot monitor him there. However, Isaac would be fearful of being inside the church, but Dana would reinforce the importance of this route when she would tell him that her brother had died trying to rescue him, implying that Franco and Dana are related either biologically or by adoption. Fighting his way through the church and down into the crypts, the marker signal had already been at work, with transforming the bodies in the caskets into necromorphs, who had no issues in making their presence known. All the while, Isaac would continue to get more and more hallucinations deriving from his case of dementia. Upon getting to the top of the church, Isaac would soon come face to face with Dana and the real horror that was soon to follow.
Oh, we don't want to cure you, Isaac. We need that precious little head of yours just the way it is. Now would you escort Isaac to the shuttle and put him in stasis? The last thing we want is for him to die.
After escaping the terror of the Tormentor and the punishment of the gunship, Isaac would soon make his way to the transport hub after hearing of Stross's idea to tear down the marker, who also reveals the whereabouts of the accursed monolith. However, with the outbreak sweeping throughout the upright and inverted sectors, Tiedemann then saw that his efforts to save the public were becoming futile, with only being able to save a minor amount of the 1 million people stationed there. Seeing that all of the scientists and researchers had successfully been evacuated, he would then order all armed personnel to fall back to the government sector. As Isaac was heading towards the transport hub, he would soon encounter a firefight between the necromorphs and a lone survivor, which turned out to be Ellie, who was fighting her way back to the transport hub.
Whoa, hey!
No. You stay back. You want to talk? You talk from there.
Don't say you're gonna help. The last person who said that tried to kill me.
Hey, take it easy. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, you got that right. You try it, and you're dead.
Look, I think we got off to a bad start here. I'm Isaac.
Ellie. What do you want, Isaac?
I'm trying to get to the transport hub. I need to get to the government sector.
What do you think we were trying to do?
Hey, I can help you. Besides, we got a better chance if we stick together. Don't you agree?
It's not a chance, Isaac. Other people are just a liability. I'll release the door lock. But after that, you're on your own. And please, don't follow me, okay?
Wait.
After this encounter, Isaac would again see Nicole, with the pair exchanging a conversation between themselves. While in this encounter, Ellie would get into one of her own as she finds Stross, who informs her to leave him be, that he needs to find Isaac. However, she would not allow him out of her sight, out of fear of him doing something to her.
Isaac, it's Ellie. I found someone. Another survivor. He says he knows you.
Isaac.
I said, stand still.
Ellie, take it easy. His name is Stross. I know him.
He looks twitchy. I don't trust him. Don't move.
Ellie, I need him to be not dead. I need him.
Shit. Okay, Isaac. I'll march him to the hub, but if he does anything stupid, anything, I will shoot him.
As the three reunite and begin to have a conversation, the power would shut down, with Tiedemann calling to Isaac to inform him that he will not allow him to escape.
Shit. It's dark. He'll find me in the dark.
Shut up. It's okay, it's just a power outage.
You guys all right up there?
Shit. Life support's out too.
That's not good.
Our two remaining runners, Clark and Stross. I knew it was only a matter of time before you reached the transit hub. You will find the train and I'll...
Are you insane? You cut off power to life support. There may be other survivors over here.
Public sector is already beyond acceptable recovery conditions. I can't allow you to escape. Goodbye, Clark.
While the pair have an argument over the video call, necromorphs would be slowly making their way towards their location, overhearing Isaac shouting, which had attracted them. After the battle with the brute, however, the three would formulate a plan to restore power to the transport hub using the solar array. While Isaac was making his way to the solar array, Gabe would only just be arriving at the hospital, where he would tell Lexine to sit tight and not let anyone see her, as there are soldiers coming to kill her. However, After chasing Bartlett through the hospital and taking an alternate path, he would soon come face to face with a cornered Bartlett who had captured Lexine and was retreating from the pursuit of the oracles.
No! Stop! Get your hands off me!
Lexine!
Kid! Help!
Get your hands off my wife, you bastard!
Not now, Weller! Why are you freaks following me? You heard Tideman. All key subjects are to be eliminated. Follow your orders.
Whose orders, Mr. Bartlett, and which key subjects?
No!
We have our orders, Mr. Bartlett, and we are following them.
No! Who are you? Stay away from me! Gabe! No!
Gabe Weller. His purpose is done. It could be trouble.
Quickly, while she's still alive. The Outbreak will take care of him. We cannot protect her with this many servants loose.
No! Lexine!
Ellie at this time had just completed her objective with the collector panels when she would be placed into an horrifying situation as she saw hundreds of necromorph forms, all who had begun to give chase to her. After this discovery, Isaac would launch himself out of the solar array and back down to the transport hub, which would later explode, leaving Isaac alone to face off against the necromorph horde as Ellie and Stross flee to the lesser of two evils.
Hey, the factory door open?
Are you crazy?
Gabe at this time had successfully made it to Lexine and was about to open the bay doors manually by overriding a panel, but as he was about to, someone who was previously thought dead would return to his side.
Just following orders.
As Gabe laid there with blood gushing out of his leg, he would give one last act of duty, which was to clear the way for his dearly beloved Lexine and their unborn child before he bleeds out, with necromorphs coming out of the ventilation system to make his mission that much harder to accomplish.
Goodbye, Lex. I love you.
Gabe! Gabe! Gabe!
After Gabe's death, Isaac would be making his way to Ellie with Tideman turning on the CEC facility's machinery in an attempt to further kill Isaac. However, all of these attempts would fall as Isaac manages to reunite with Ellie and Stross, who had been under assault from necromorphs.
God, Isaac. Glad to see you've got all your parts.
You alright?
Yeah.
There are 4 steps.
No thanks to Twitchy here.
1, 2, 3, 4. Step 4. She'll be waiting. Jesus, Stross. You okay?
It's getting worse.
What is step 4? Who will be waiting?
If the screws, if the needle, she'll be waiting.
He's not gonna make it. We gotta keep moving.
There's an industrial transport upstairs. Runs on the same spoke as the commuter train. It should get us to government sector. One of us will have to deploy it from the gear house.
Staring, asking.
Stay here and try to get him on his feet.
If the needle, she'll be waiting.
As Isaac makes his way through these areas within the CEC facility, Nicole would whisper to Isaac, further providing guilt to him about what had happened back on the Ishimura, how he failed to save her. This would soon reach a breaking point for Isaac when he confronts the apparition.
Why'd you come looking for me if you knew I was dead, Isaac? Did you think I would forgive you?
Get out of my head. You're not Nicole!
Hey, you made it.
Staring at me, Isaac. Through the holes in his head. Listen to me.
Stop staring at me! Stop it!
Relax!
Isaac, we have to get out of here.
Right. Let's go. Oh my god. It can't be. That's the Ishimura.
Yeah. Used to be the pride of the CEC. It's a sad story, actually. I heard everybody on board died. Some sort of terrorist attack.
What? Terrorist attack? What happened aboard that ship was no terrorist attack.
What do you mean?
That's where all this started, Ellie. Everything that's happening here happened on that ship. I saw it. I was on board when it happened. Hey, what's happening?
I don't know. Something must be blocking the track.
Stay here. I'll take a look.
Isaac would then destroy the nitrogen tanks that would set off a chain reaction within the facility that would disintegrate the corruption and tentacles barring their path. And as Isaac made it to the transport, the three would successfully escape the public sector and be on their way to the government sector.
In another situation, I might admire your persistence, Mr. Clark. But this is bigger than you and bigger than the lives of everyone on this station.
Sir, final preparations for attack are wrapping up.
Looks like it ends here. At this point, it's all just dead weight.
Isaac, what did he mean? What did he mean when he said dead weight?
He's using the solar beam. We gotta stop the transport now.
Oh, shit. He's cut the station in half. There's no track to get across on.
Back us up. Back us up to the station.
What? Why?
Just do it, Ellie. Hurry. The Ishimura. If the gravity tethers are still functional, I can...
You can snag GovSec and drag it back? Isaac, this is ridiculous.
If I can line the tracks up just for a few seconds, you should be able to get the transport across. Stay ready. And take care of Strauss.
Isaac, no! This is a really bad idea.
I'll stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
As Isaac makes his way through the Ishimura, he would feel nervous from the memory of what had transpired within the planet cracker in the events of Dead Space, along with Nicole whispering in Isaac's ears from time to time as he moves deeper and deeper through the dark shadow of the ship. However, the tension would soon be broken by necromorphs swarming through and into the ship, but Isaac would manage to fix the ship and get it ready to snare the Shard of Titan back into position so that Ellie and Strauss can make it across to the other side, which would send them to the mines rather than the government sector. As for Isaac, he would leave the ship in an escape pod, but would black out for a few moments after crash landing into the mines.
I'm away. Ellie, did you make it?
Isaac, we crossed the track, but we're coming in hot.
I just need you to see what I see, Ellie. I promise it won't hurt.
Just put down the screwdriver.
Trust, no!
You made me stick with that. You made me stick with that. You made me stick with that. You made me die!
It's gonna be okay. I promise. This won't hurt a bit. I'll try hard and hope to die.
Trust!
Stick a needle in your eye.
Trust, God damn it!
Isaac would then make his way through the mines, reuniting with Stross and Ellie as they would begin to brawl it out, but would again be separated by necromorph interference. However, once back inside and fighting through the necromorphs, Isaac would then be confronted by Stross, who had turned against him in his frenzy. After this encounter, Isaac would make it near to Ellie's position, when the apparition of Nicole would once again reappear to deal with Isaac, and this time, it would be personal.
One shred, one light, one bright shining star you couldn't do in this universe. Not everyone guilt. Forcing the life out of you because you can't get over the fact that I'm dead and you feel responsible. Why do you keep fighting me? Why can't you let go?
Because you are my everything. And if I let you go, I've got nothing left.
Step 4. Acceptance. Now you're ready to finish this.
Isaac would then help or completely repair the drill on his own, and the pair would take it to penetrate the foundation of the government sector, which had been completely deserted due to the evacuation. Ellie would then find an abandoned gunship, which would give Isaac an opportunity to do something that was previously unavailable to him with Nicole.
Isaac, what are you doing?
Closing hatch.
Oh. Hey, Isaac, what are you doing?
Gunship command override confirmed.
Isaac! What are you doing? Open the door right now!
Emergency launch cycle initiated.
No!
Airlock sealed.
No! No! Don't you dare! Don't you dare launch the ship! Isaac!
That's your best chance, Ellie. You got life support, comms. Hey, you gotta be rescued.
You bastard.
I need you to be rescued. I couldn't save Nicole, but I can save you, Ellie. So, bye.
Are you ready to talk now?
Why? So I can let you go too? I can't do that, Nicole. I never wanted to let you go.
A lot happened that we never wanted. Isaac. Touch me.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Isaac, please. Make us whole.
I can't.
Isaac would then battle through the pursuing necromorph horde that had followed in the wake of the drill's collision. He would then gain entry to the Marker labs. However, Tideman had prepared for his arrival with a wall of soldiers, all equipped with pulse rifles and riot shields. However, these would not save them as Isaac would bypass them and power down the bulkhead doors, keeping the necromorphs at bay. Isaac would then travel through the labs with the assistance of the apparition that wore Nicole's skin and form. However, as he made it to the observation deck that overlooked the marker, he would soon be treated to the sight of a marker priming for convergence.
What are they doing?
They're all coming to the marker. Convergence is at hand.
I knew you were trouble from the start, but they told me you were necessary. That your mind was the purest. I spent years sifting through your demented brain. This is not the way it was supposed to happen.
Well, how was it supposed to happen, Timon?
They had it under control. Clark, this is not our fault. We were so close to understanding it. It's all those bodies you let in here. It's triggering a convergence event. But we never expected this many bodies.
What the hell is it doing?
What it was made to do. Isaac, you have to make us whole.
Just like Straw said. I remember this. The machine activates the parts of our brain where the marker codes are stored. But how does that threaten the marker? What were they afraid of?
Me. Us. Working together.
Step 4.
Yes. Are you ready?
This is gonna hurt, isn't it?
Yes. Step inside.
As some of the necromorphs began to fly up into the air, Isaac would then give the marker what it needs to connect to the part of the brain that is affected by the symbols, the mental blueprint. It would give Isaac the ability to destroy the marker, giving in to the final step. Nicole would then tell Isaac to follow the light to the marker, and he would comply, facing off against another regenerative form known as the Ubermorph, moving through the surrounding spiraling corridors, fighting through the necromorphs' remaining forces to get to the marker. But there was something that the light protruding from Nicole was blinding Isaac to.
Research in that marker is worth every life we just lost! I won't let you throw all this away.
Thank you, Isaac. Now, time to die.
What?
Yours is the last body we need to be reborn. The Makers must be absorbed.
The Makers? You mean me? But Strauss said we could destroy the marker.
Not if we consume you first.
God damn it, I trusted you! Fuck you!
Isaac would then defeat Nicole and the marker signal residing within his mind, which in fact destroys the marker and stops convergence in its tracks. and the core would begin to overload, when Ellie would smash through the marker shell and come to Isaac's rescue.
You complete bastard! Was this your great plan? Dump me off and die?
Full of bad ideas, remember?
Yeah, well here's another one. I'm crashing through the roof to get you. Now move your ass.
Wait, no, Ellie, it's too late. Set free at the station.
Yeah, well you don't really have a say this time. Heads up.
After Isaac and Ellie had escaped the region, the Earth government would send a team into the area to survey the station to find that the entire station had been destroyed due to the core's explosion. They would then report their findings back to their superiors, who then were disappointed to hear of the news, but would claim that the other marker sites will have to pick up the pieces. And so, that is the entire history of the Sprawl, and all of the events that coincide and intertwined together to get to this result, like the two sides to the marker intertwining together towards the base, creating unity. I hope you all did enjoy the two styles of timeline or complete histories all twisted back into one entity. I had a good time incorporating the two different styles back into one, and if you want to see a director's cut on the complete history of Tal Volantis, then help this video in getting to 1000. No. I think you require a better challenge, as 1000 likes seemed to be too easy for you last time. If this video gets 5,000 likes, then I will do a director's cut of the complete history and in-depth timeline of Tal Volantis. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, then please hit the like button, comment your thoughts below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Sign up to join the British Alliance today by subscribing and ringing in the notification bell, allowing all updates to be notified of new content each week, whether those be new videos or streams, and I will see all of you among the cosmos, and be sure to have a good one.